We got a Throwback Thursday Thanksgiving edition, and today we'll be doing it for Dale. Next. What's up, guys? Happy Thanksgiving. And if you're not subscribed, hopefully I'll earn that subscription today. Okay, let's get into it. We're going to talk about the day that NASCAR ran on Thanksgiving weekend. Okay, so let's take it back to the year 2001, a tumultuous time for NASCAR and the country as a whole, because in February, NASCAR had lost Dale Earnhardt Sr. At Daytona, considered by many the greatest driver of all time, but even if you don't consider him the greatest driver of all time, he was at least culturally significant to growing NASCAR. So a lot of people lost their hero that day, or at least a very important person in the sport. Me personally, he was one of only two people I'd ever pulled for. I'd been a Richard Petty fan, and then I pulled for Earnhardt, sort of as Richard Petty, not when he retired, but as he was sort of, fading out. So a lot of people lost their favorite person that day, and nobody could even fathom it getting much worse. But of course, on September 11th, the two planes flew into the tower, took it down. One plane flew into the Pentagon, and another plane crashed into a field as the people on that plane attacked the terrorists and didn't let that one get to its destination. Terrible event. So it obviously got much worse. I still remember I was coming out of class when I heard the news. I think anybody that was alive remembers where they were at that day. I remember where I was at when Earnhardt crashed too, ironically enough. So, terrible time if you lived through it. I mean, it's hard to put into words how bummed out and just how sad we were as a country. But basically, the whole country took a week off. NASCAR at first was going to race their race at Loudon, New Hampshire, and just to sort of raise everybody's spirits. But then they decided not to because no other sports franchise or anything like that was doing that, and they didn't want people to take it the wrong way, that they were trying to raise spirits, because some people were going to take it the wrong way, that they weren't respecting the dead. So eventually NASCAR decided to pull the race at Loudon, New Hampshire. So like I said, it was a heavy year, and when NASCAR rescheduled the race, they rescheduled it for the last race of the season, which fell on Thanksgiving weekend. Like I said, it was a hard year, and there were some significant wins in the season. Of course, the race that Earnhardt passed away, his DEI driver, Michael Waltrip, won the race. The next race after that, the first race back after he passed away, Steve Park, another DEI driver, won at Rockingham. The race after that, of course, Jeff Gordon, his main rival from previous seasons, at least at this time, won the race, and he drove around with the three flag or three fingers out the window. I can't exactly remember, but he did give a tribute to Earnhardt, which was really cool. And then the third race, of course, being significant because Earnhardt drove the third race after his passing. The guy that actually took over the car, they renumbered the car to 29, but Kevin Harvick won that race. So that was sort of a cool thing, that the third race, the driver that fills in for him wins the race, and it was a really exciting race too. He barely edged Jeff Gordon at Atlanta. And then, of course, Dale Jr. wins the next race at Daytona. And there were just several significant wins throughout that season. Bill Elliott, actually, if you remember, Bill Elliott was actually in the 80s Earnhardt's biggest rival. He ended up winning a race at Homestead. And so there were some cool moments throughout that season. But the final race of the season is one that people sort of forget about, A, because it happened on Thanksgiving, and B, who won it and the significance of that win. So we're going to get into that right now. So fast forward to the Loudon race, where Jeff Gordon, who had won 6 races, 18 top 5s, and 24 top 10s, had already sewed up the championship, and he had also already led 257 laps of this Loudon, New Hampshire race, when a slow Mike Wallace lapped car was in front of him, and he had to slow up a little bit for him, and this allowed Robbie Gordon in the number 31 Lowe's Chevrolet to catch him. And when Robbie Gordon caught him, he moved him out of the way. He moved him up the racetrack and sort of wrecked Jeff Gordon a little bit. Jeff Gordon had a little bit of front-end damage. It brought out a caution. I said he had a little bit of front-end damage, but we don't know if that front-end damage came from the spin or if it came under caution, where he came up under caution and rammed Robbie Gordon. Yeah, Jeff Gordon completely lost his stuff and under caution rammed Robbie Gordon, and this earned him a penalty that sent him to the back of the field. And with very few laps remaining, especially at Loudon, a one-groove track, he did not have enough time to come back up through the field. And Robbie Gordon set sail and won this race. And a lot of people don't remember it, but when Robbie Gordon got out of the car, he gave a shout-out to Dale Earnhardt Sr. by saying, "I didn't spin him. I just moved him a little bit up the racetrack. Then I had to go." I heard a lot of people over the years call that racing. But to me, I thought it was really cool that the season started out with a DEI win, and it closed out with an RCR win, and basically all the DEI and RCR drivers from that season got wins. And in the year that we lost Earnhardt, all the teams that he was associated with got wins, including the first race and the last race, so it was a bookend. And even though Gordon won the championship, we won the first race and the last race as Earnhardt fans. So I've always thought this was cool, and I just, it was Thanksgiving. I had to do this one about the Thanksgiving race, the only time NASCAR raced on Thanksgiving, and I thought I'd give my little bit of perspective on it. But that's all I got for you today. Hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving, and that's all I've got for you today. All right. Doing it for Dale.